Good evening, my friends. This is Paul. I hope you like the new microphone that I have. Now I don't have to keep being so close to my computer. And this video was brought up by a dispute that came up where I work. So I'm going to try not to name any names. I want to be as fair and non-partial as I can. But let's just say that there was a person who identified as female but very much looked and sounded like a male was wearing pink nail polish. So naturally, one of the guys at my work came over and he said, "Why are you wearing pink nail polish?" Because this person looked like a guy and talked like a guy. But then the person was like, "I'm a girl." And he's like, "Well, excuse me, sir." And then he tried to apologize, and they were just really hostile towards him. Now, I get it. When you're different from someone else and someone is constantly reminding you of that or trying to make you fit in to be like everyone else, that can be frustrating. I should know I have Asperger's syndrome. My entire life people have been telling me I need to do things differently. Sometimes you just want to say, no, I want to be me. And you know what? In Catholic theology, that's why God gave us intellect. He gives us the ability to say, I don't agree with this, or I don't want to do that. However, there's also what's called a moral compass. Basically, even the most messed up person in the universe could tell you that every now and then they get a bad feeling that maybe something is wrong, or they've seen enough consequences for their actions that maybe there are consequences they might not want to admit are their fault, but actually are. For instance, if you're constantly going to be biting people's heads off because you accidentally said he instead of she, then people are going to distance themselves from you because that might make them scared or that might make them angry or offended. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to waste your breath with all this, you gotta be politically correct and you can't hurt anybody's feelings. No. Sometimes you gotta be willing to say the hard truth. Now, in the Catholic Church, the hard truth is that you can be transgender. I mean, if it really is something you can't help, you can't blame the person for that. But what you can do is you can tell them you shouldn't be doing something that's blatantly immoral. Something that is going to cause problems or have consequences. Painting your nails isn't a sin. If I felt like painting my nails red, yeah, that would get some odd remarks because I'm a dude. I may not look like or sound like a dude on this webcam, but I assure you that I am, one, because and two, because no one in real life ever makes that mistake. It's just that the microphone and webcam adjust lighting to a certain way so that it might look as though I'm androgynous, and also I just like having long hair. It's a preference of mine. And there's a difference between preference versus outright immorality. Killing someone, for example, is always wrong. Now, you could say, well, I feel like killing that person because they did an injustice toward me, or I have the impulse to buy this drug to help me feel better. But does it necessarily actually work? You know, there's a lot of drugs out there that may make you feel good, but they'll have long-term or sometimes short-term consequences that you'll eventually regret it later. And so as a result, when you're hostile towards people, you might think, well, that's actually going to be helping me out in the long run, because then it's keeping people away who are being judgmental. But the problem is, you're being judgmental in the process if you're telling someone else that they're being judgmental, because that's a judgmental statement. Now, I don't want to pretend that I'm going to totally stick up for this idea of you have to be politically correct in this gender era. In the Catholic Church, there's male, female. That's it. Even in the animal kingdom, there's male and female. Even among plants, there's male and female. That's how God created them. The Bible never said that there is a third option. However, If you're really the type of person that just will not take no for an answer, and you absolutely insist that you're an it would be better if you just politely asked the person, could you please show some respect? Will they listen? Probably not. But at least you can start by showing a positive attitude, and that can slowly make a difference. Now, an example of this in my own life. I came across a person where I work that is an atheist, and he and I have gotten into plenty of disputes about whether God exists or not. However, we don't hate each other because he said that he appreciates the fact that I use Socratic reasoning, and I try to use logic and intellect to prove that God is real, as opposed to just saying, well, God's this really nice guy. And I say, well, I respect you too because you're not hating on Christians, and you're showing, for the most part, a good attitude. But if someone is really bigoted and saying, I hate anyone who's not Catholic, if you're not Catholic, you're going to burn in hell, that's not really going to be the best option to turn people over to you. There's a quote I heard called, you catch more flies with a teaspoon of honey than a teaspoon of vinegar. You're not going to win people over by having an attitude. You're not going to win people over by always doing things because you feel like it. You have to use a combination of logic, intellect, and feelings if you're going to get the optimal result for something. Because if you're totally feelingless, then you're basically a psychopath, and then there's going to be nothing holding you back. You won't be able to know what to do if, say, someone is crying, and you might inflict more pain and cause more long-term damage, probably why so many people end up in jail. But if you're totally logicless, then you might end up making asinine decisions that could get someone killed. Like if you're on the road and you refuse to look at the red light. That, you may think, oh, well, the cops weren't around, so I just got lucky that time. You might not get lucky all the time. You may be wondering to yourself at this point, Paul, you're going on such a tangent. What does that have to do with transgenders? Well, I actually didn't want to talk too much about the transgender issue as a whole because I already made a video called Can You Be LGBT and Catholic? And I covered this topic pretty thoroughly, I'd like to think. I'm mostly referring to the very harsh nature of some of the people in this community. And I'm not going to say that it's all from them. There are plenty of heterosexual people that are just as aggressive. But what I am saying is it seems like the LGBT people are not willing, most of the time, they're not willing to have a dialogue. All they want is they want their view heard, whether people like it or not, instead of calmly explaining, this is what I'm going through, this is what it feels like to be me. These are the benefits, and these are the cons. And then the other person can say, okay, well, here's how I feel. Have a conversation. Instead of just saying, well, you're wrong, that's the end of it, I'm out of here. You're going to come across as a total jerk if you do that. You're not going to come across as wise, you're going to come across as arrogant. And that's not cool. With that, I hope I've at least gotten you guys thinking. And if you are going to say that my points are totally out of whack, let's start a dialogue in the comment section. Say, Paul, let's talk about it. Here's why I think you're wrong. And I'll respond with a dialogue in response. Now, I'm going to delete any comments that have profanity in them. I'll hold them for review if they have, like, say, sexual terminology. But profanity and outright rudeness and inappropriateness will not be tolerated. So please keep this civil. With that, thank you very much for watching. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and whether you're a man, woman, or piece of wood, God still loves you. Bye.